Welcome to the Glen Mercer Show, where we talk all things vegan. If you're not already vegan, no worries, we'll get you there. If you are, tune in for health advice, information on climate change, and all the damage done by our most destructive industry, animal agriculture. We'll also talk cooking, theater, film, and culture. My 2 reasons for starting this podcast: to entertain, to inform, and to make people vegan. Oh, that's 3. Shit. Hello and welcome to the Glen Mercer Show. You can find us across all podcast platforms, on YouTube, and at realmeneatplants.com. Please subscribe. My special guest today is a new friend of mine, Allison Ward. Allison and I met just recently at a potluck, and she has an amazing weight loss story to tell. Allison, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Glenn.
So tell us about your weight struggle. How long, when did it begin? How overweight did you become?
It began in childhood, and I'm one of 5 kids, the eldest, and I was always overweight. None of my siblings were, but I was. And Mom used to have to take me to the town next door to be able to get plus size clothes. And so I ended up as a 12-year-old in Weight Watchers. But I think by the time I got into my teen years, I was on the heavy side, but kind of in normal clothes, and always, beat back the extra pounds when they'd creep up. But it wasn't until after kids, when I was probably in my 40s, that my weight really ballooned. So I got to where I was about 180, and then the kids left home and I had a stressful job, and I got on the scale one day and it was 203. And I
203.
Yep. And I never got on the scale after that until I knew for certain it was going to be under 200. So I know it went above that, but I don't know how much. So,
so around how many years do you think you were in the 200s?
Oh, probably 5 or 6.
5 or 6 years without going on the scale.
Bouncing around there. And I did Weight Watchers, and I go up and down, up and down. So I did Weight Watchers and Atkins and the cabbage soup diet, and all the different things. Exercised. I've always been active, and so I've told myself that I was being a healthy person because I did actually eat what I thought was healthy food. For instance, I used real butter instead of fake butter, and good quality cheese instead of the stuff out of a Ziploc bag, and those kinds of things. So I thought I was doing a good job, but the weight just was there. And I finally just thought, I'm just going to be a heavy person. This is me. Get over it. Go buy clothes. So I bought clothes on the other side of the store in Talbot's. I'd buy the 1X's and try to look as good as I possibly could. And I had gotten to that point, but at that time I had medical problems that were creeping up. And I thought, well, it's aging, I'm in my 50s, deal with it. And so I just kept going back to the doctor for each issue. And I ended up on about 8 different medicines, and had arthritis that was creeping in, that was really getting in the way. So
now, what kinds of medical issues were cropping up?
Arthritis was the big one. I had allergy medicines. I had 3 different ones of those. I was taking a statin for the high cholesterol. Let's see what else. I had to write
your blood pressure?
My blood pressure has always been good. I've been happy there. I had skin rashes, and restless leg was awful. I had a terrible time with that. But the good news is all those medicines I don't take anymore, and everything is in control. I take 0 medicines. So,
okay, we will get to that. Tell us first about the different strategies you tried, like the Atkins diet. Did it work? Did you lose weight?
Yeah, it worked great. But I got sick of eating meat. And what was funny at the time, my daughter is vegetarian and had been since, she was 12. But it kind of grossed her out. But it did work in that I did lose, probably 30, 40 pounds. But the second I went off of it, that and more came back. So it just wasn't sustainable for me. And it just kind of gets kind of gross after a while. So it worked, but it just wasn't a fun way to live. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And the other diet strategies that you tried, did each one work for a period of time?
Yeah, they'd work and I'd get, 10, 15 pounds off, but then I'd get busy and lose, interest, and it just, pop back up. So
Okay.
yeah. And even now, if I take my focus off, the weight will start creeping back up because I've got
Right.
things that still, are attractive to me that shouldn't be. But
Right. Well, you sent me, and I printed it up, an image of what you used to look like,
yeah,
and you're almost unrecognizable. You look so
yeah,
great now, and you were quite overweight then.
yeah, I was.
So how did you hear about the diet that you practice now, the whole foods plant-based diet?
It's a good story. So I was in Brazil. I'm a deacon for the Lutheran Church, and we have a group called DOTAC. So it's the deacons of the Americas and the Caribbean, and they met in Brazil. In Brazil, you eat beef, and so good. Just every meal, it's beef, beef, beef. And they were showing off their beautiful country and treating us to some of their very best. And so while I was there for a couple of weeks, I ate beef. I mean, at home, I did not eat that much beef because, I never thought it was that healthy, but I really partaked and it was good. But my arthritis was really flaring up. And we were there to tour in part, and we walked through hospitals and different things that they were showing us. And my feet were just practically crippling. It just hurt so bad. While we were there was a man that was having triple orders of asparagus, and he would come down to breakfast with a bag of oats and ask for hot water. And it just was strange. And I got to know the man. His name is Dr. Michael Rabine. He and his wife Anne Marie, who is a deaconess, was on the trip. And and I thought, well, this is really interesting. It was a nice guy. He at the time was the head surgeon at the Kaiser Hospital in Stockton, California. So I thought, okay, this guy must know something. And I think I'm suspicious that it was divine intervention, but we had a 3-hour airport delay on one of our stops. And we were stuck there with fog. And I sat next to Michael and said, all right, Michael, tell me about this asparagus thing you're doing. What's this about? And so he told me about the whole food plant-based diet. And he sat there and for 3 hours talked about the successes that he had seen with his family, with his patients, with his friends, with the impact he was making in the hospital. And it was impressive. And what struck me was how it would work on inflammation and the whole impact of foods on inflammation in the body. And then, and all the additives that are in all the different foods. And I mean, it was just fascinating. And so I thought, all right, for 3 days, I'm going to try it. So for 3 days in Brazil, I joined him with the asparagus and salad and potato bin.
You went on the asparagus diet.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what was in season. That's what I remember. And I like asparagus. But so for 3 days, I did without any meat or eggs or cheese, went as vegan as it could be on that trip. And on the third day, my feet were fine. I could walk. I could put my feet down when I got out of bed in the morning without cringing. So I thought, okay, there's something here, because everything else was the same. I was sleeping in the same environment with the same people. It's just the food that was different. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try it for a week. And I continued when I got home. And this is even better. And the weight started coming off. All right, I'm gonna do it for a month, see if I can do it. And then I just kept adding time, and then finally thought, there's no going back. This works for me. And so since 2015, I've been eating whole food plant-based. And I don't call myself a true vegan because I tricked myself into saying, okay, you can do this, but let's exempt cookies. So that's how I had to trick myself into it, because I felt like at the time I was giving up an awful lot.
Now you can have vegan cookies.
Yes, but I just, yes, and I do. And what's funny, now this many years later, a real cookie from like a bakery, it's the real cookies from the bakeries that I wasn't willing to take away from. I can have one of those now, and like the roof of my mouth feels coated with oil, and it just kind of gets stuck in my throat on the way down. I thought, they're just not really that good anymore.
So you're not having those real cookies anymore.
Now, every now and then I'll, if I go to somebody's house and they've cooked something and they forgot and they put chicken broth in it, I might have a little of it. So for that reason, I don't call myself 100% vegan. But in our house, we have no animal products. And I'm just convinced that's what's made me healthy. So
of course,
yeah. And in your book that you just wrote, America Going Vegan, you talk about the shy vegan, and
right.
I would qualify for that person. I don't want to make anyone else uncomfortable, or make them feel bad about what they're doing, that kind of thing. But I'm becoming a little more vocal about it just because it's helped me so much. And so this is the first time I've talked about it publicly. So there you go.
Well, I'm honored to be the person who has brought you to do so. Yeah. When I think about inflammation, I think of it this way. What causes inflammation is anything that's unnatural to the human body.
Right.
You're eating something that's foreign to the body, so the body's defenses go to work to fight against the thing that's foreign to the body.
That's right.
Meat is foreign to the human body. Dairy is foreign to the human body. And perhaps sugar is in its refined form is foreign to the human body. So, and oil is foreign to the human body. So when you eat those substances, the body reacts, and you get these autoimmune conditions.
Yep.
And it stands to reason that it should go away when you adopt a diet of natural human foods. The extraordinary thing is, for how many years did you go to doctors, none of whom told you that, right?
No, and even when I started this, my lovely doctor would say, well, you might want to just have some lean chicken breast, or something like that. You got to get your protein. That's the thing I hear so much. So now I have a little like index sheet of paper that I have in my purse, that I have all the places that I have gone to that have convinced me that this is the way to go. So it's, all the different podcasts and movies and things. And I just say, here, read this. I mean, I just, so this is what's influenced me. And usually it's the nurses that want to know. They'll say, you lost how much weight? You're off all these medicines? Yeah, here you go. And then they can do with it what they want. So I am proactive in that way. But
that's great.
Yeah, they're even the doctor I have now, I've been to now he's a new physician for me. I've been to him now for 3 years. And and said, this is what my husband also is doing. This is what we're doing. It seems to work. Make sure we do the right blood test. And he says, everything looks great, and so he says, you don't need anything, so it's great.
Well, I was a shy vegetarian for about 19 years, and then I became a vegan, and I was a shy vegan for about 10 years. And then I began to understand the extent to which animal agriculture is destroying the planet.
Hmm.
And at that point, I stopped being shy about it
Yeah.
because, for one thing, going on a healthy, whole foods, plant-based diet will help everyone's health.
Mm.
But for another thing, we have to stop these wildfires and these storms and the carbon dioxide that is just accumulating in the atmosphere. And there is no way mathematically to do it
Mm.
unless we have a global transformation towards a plant-based diet. There's simply no way that it's possible, because the other strategies like more solar power, which I'm in favor of, and electric cars, which I'm in favor of, they don't draw down any carbon dioxide,
Right.
right? The only thing that draws down carbon dioxide is more trees,
Right.
more vegetation. And the only place we can put substantial amount, 1 trillion more trees, is on the grazing land.
Right.
We just have to stop the grazing. It isn't natural. We think of it as natural because all our lives there have been
Right.
ranches with cows, and our grandparents
Hmm.
lived when there were
Way
ranches
of
with
life.
cows. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems natural, but in fact, fencing off vast areas of the earth to give to cows isn't how the earth was designed. You're a person with a religious background, I take it.
Yeah.
And that wasn't what the world was like when the
Yeah.
world began.
No.
That wasn't the world we came into as human beings. Uh, so
Well,
it
and you're right, it is lifestyle. And when you talk about someone's lifestyle, what they've always had, there's a big push because you don't, you're going against your family traditions and everything else. And that's a big ask. So the thing that would lead someone into that is something that would be better, and a reason. I mean, it is painful to be countercultural, you do have to go against the tide, and you do get teased and that kind of thing. But if you think about the benefits, then it's worth it.
yeah. Now,
Worth
did you
it.
get a lot of pushback from family and friends?
Oh yeah. Oh
Tell
yeah.
us about that.
Oh, one sister would sit down. I live out of town from my family. One sister would send me photographs of what they were eating, and it would be big slabs of ribs, and all the stuff I used to eat and enjoy.
and
Or
and she was doing that just to tease you?
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, and I'm also alcoholic, and so I don't drink anymore. I haven't since I was 38, and I think that's why this is easier for me to go all in. It's easier for me to do without, and just say I'm not going to have that, rather than to say I'm going to have a little here and there,
It's
with my
easier to go
cooking.
100% than 97% or
Yeah,
something like that.
I'm working on it. I'm
Yeah.
working on it. It
Yeah.
seems to be getting there, but
Yeah.
my sisters did. Interestingly, at this point, they're seeing now how it's working for me, and they're both very interested in doing this. And I have a brother who had a health issue, and none of them are 100%, but they definitely have more plant-based meals, and they're definitely paying more attention to food additives and things like that.
And
And
are
then
they getting healthier?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Now, how much weight did you lose overall?
I went from uh, 203 plus to 125. And I got there when I went to True North
Uh-huh.
last year, which was great, with Dr. Alan Goldhammer. That was wonderful.
Right. But you
And
had
then
already lost the weight, I assume, when you went there last year,
I
right?
had lost all but the last 10 pounds that I just
Okay.
couldn't get off. And so
Okay.
I went there and I lost the last 10 pounds. Plus, I'd heard so much about him, and, heard his talks, so interesting. So Jim and I went, and he was able to get Jim's blood pressure down, which was great. Jim had a huge transformation as well.
You tell us about your husband, Jim.
Let's see. So he continued eating meat while I first started in 2015, and in 20
And was he overweight?
Yeah, about not like I was. He was where he could get away with it. Probably, 20, 30 pounds heavy.
Okay. Okay.
But I mean, he carried it well. But he had very high blood pressure and very high cholesterol. And so he was on blood pressure medicines and a statin. So we retired and left the stressful work and got in a motorhome, and we traveled around for a couple of years, which was great. And he decided then that he would join me in the plant-based realm. And
But what convinced him? Watching your results?
watching my results, and also it just was a lot more tedious in the motorhome to have two separate meal kind of things. And then, the one guy I think that tipped him was Dr. Ken Williams. And he is a cardiologist, was president of the American Cardiology Association, something like that.
American College of Cardiology.
Yeah, thank you. And I think he just spoke in a way that connected with Jim. And, it was just very laid out the facts. And it was like, oh, I get it, And so Jim stopped having eggs with spam and cheese for the extra protein to get him through the morning. He stopped having that and joined me. And then we went in the motorhome and went whole food and started, having vegetables for breakfast, that kind of thing. He lost 30 pounds. His blood pressure is normal, and he takes 0 medicines.
So between the two of you, you take 0 medicines.
Yep. Yep. So
that's
fantastic.
fantastic.
He has a medicine for osteoporosis, but that's it. So, and I think that's, hopefully that'll get better. But
yeah.
But yeah. So we go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "What's wrong?" We go, "Oh, I've got a bump here."
Same thing. I go to the doctor once a year just to see how he's feeling.
Yeah. Well, just to keep a contact. So if you do get the flu, we made it through COVID without getting COVID until, believe this, we went on the cruise. It was a whole, what's the name of the cruise? I'll come to it in a minute. But it was the vegan cruise, a holiday at sea cruise, and went on that. And all the physicians there were saying, "Oh, no need to mask anymore." And so we, sat there with 1,000 vegans and, had a great time and came home with COVID.
And I imagine a number of others did too.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
But the thing is that usually, there's no guarantees in life, but usually when you're on this diet and you get COVID, it's like a flu or a bad cold.
It was
what happened?
Yeah, it was a non-event, and we both had been vaccinated and stuff. But
yeah, I had it too. It was a 2-day non-event for me.
Yeah. It was a headache. That was it. But
do you ever worry? Well, let me go back in time. When you lost weight with other strategies in the past, like the Atkins diet, did you worry that the weight would come back?
Oh yeah.
And it always did, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now you've lost 75 plus pounds. Do you worry that the weight will come back?
I know that I could the second I start eating stuff I shouldn't, if I go out to eat a lot, and have a lot of oil, or if I, have too much packaged food. It'll come back.
It could, but do you feel confident that you'll stay eating the way you are?
Yes, I do. I really do.
And I really think that's the difference, isn't it? That before you were either eating in an unnatural way or starving yourself a little, and it must have been painfully obvious that it was impossible to sustain.
Yeah, it was. And
now you're doing something you eat to satisfaction, don't you? When you eat meals.
Oh yeah, I eat a ton of food,
Yeah,
but it's,
there you go.
It's vegetables and we do the McDougall thing with, the starch, and it's good.
Now, are there some foods that you find addictive and you have to be careful about?
Cookies.
Even
when I make my vegan cookies, which I think are so good. It was funny. I went to a meeting the other day with gardeners, and and I brought cookies because, I wanted to bring something. And so I brought these Almond Joy cookies. So I used, and I made them gluten-free vegan. So I thought, I'm learning to do gluten-free for a new family member. And I'm thinking, okay, let's do this for, those that are out there that might not normally be able to partake. So I made gluten-free vegan cookies. They were Almond Joy kind of things, no oil. And another person brought the same cookie, Almond Joy cookies, and hers were made with sweetened condensed milk and coconut and regular chocolate. Mine were made with the vegan chocolate and all that. Well, her cookies were all gone, and I think maybe about 4 of my cookies disappeared, and that was about it. And so I brought them home, and Jim and I ate the rest of them watching TV that night. So yeah, cookies still can be a problem. But yeah, I wondered if I hadn't put the sign up by the cookies, to announce that they were gluten-free and vegan, I wonder if more of them would have disappeared because they were tasty.
Do you try to keep your environment clean at home from things that would tempt you?
I do, but then Ben and Jerry's non-dairy ice cream will go on sale and it'll magically jump in the shopping cart. And so I try not to have it all the time, but that's the kind of stuff that'll get me, if that's on sale.
You gotta stay away from Ben and Jerry.
Yeah, I know. But yeah.
Now, if you can go back and talk to yourself from 20 years ago,
what do you think?
What do you think you would say?
Oh, definitely would have said, do this sooner. Yeah. When my daughter was eating vegetarian at 12, so I would have been 42. I thought, okay, you can do this, it's for the animals, but you can't make anyone else uncomfortable while you're doing this because that's not good manners. This is the environment you live in. So we'll accommodate. So I learned to cook for her, but it was with a lot of cheese and that kind of stuff. But I wish then that I had paid more attention to the health benefits, but that's not the messages that I received. I heard that protein was healthy and that you needed it, and blah, blah, blah. So
your husband has joined you on this journey and he's also had remarkable health improvements. How about other members of your family?
Well, my daughter remains vegetarian, but for the animal things, but she does like cheese and eggs. And my son is health conscious, but still eats meat and stuff. And they just kind of accommodate us when we come over to visit. So they're. So
what does your son say to you about your results and his reason for not going with mom and dad on this?
Well, I don't know that I asked him to make a change. So I mean, he's proud that we're healthy, and both of them are producing grandkids now, and they want us around to enjoy grandkids. So which is nice. So I'm kind of. It's hard to force somebody in this, and I wouldn't want to do that. And I do see where it's been so helpful for both of us that I would like others to enjoy that. And if anyone asks, I will certainly tell them and share, our story. But I don't know that anybody could have forced me into it. If my physician had said 20 years ago, this is what you need to do to be able to be healthy, I don't know that I would have jumped on it. I might have found another position. I wasn't hurting enough yet,
Yeah.
When you hurt enough, then it's, and maybe different ways will encourage other people. If they might not have the health issues, but they might care about the earth. That kind of thing. So
Well, I'm guessing that your son and daughter might watch this. So I'll say to them, you can see that mom does not want to put any pressure on you, but I will just suggest that why not join mom and dad on this diet and not develop the health problems. So I'm suggesting it, not mom. She's not being pushy. You can see that. It's just me being a little pushy. I'm just suggesting you read my book, America Goes Vegan. See what you think.
We've got a copy. I'll share it with them.
Please do. Please
Yeah.
do. And friends, have you found that some of your friends are starting to join you?
Um, yeah, actually, one of my dear friends that I worked with, she ended up uh, going whole food plant-based. And I don't know that she's 100%, but very much into health and nutrition now. She went on the cruise with us and she met a fella on the cruise and
Huh.
they're now dating.
Holy
And
cow.
he's
And did
whole
they
food
get
plant-based.
COVID?
Yeah.
And did they get COVID?
No, they didn't.
Oh,
But
that was a very successful cruise for them.
I know. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. So she and I compare notes an awful lot. So I do have one friend that has. And then my high school buddies that I get together with once a year, they have watched this transformation, but I don't know that any of them are particularly interested. But as they start to hurt more, maybe, you know.
Yeah. What are your favorite meals to make for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do you have some staple meals?
Yeah, we do. And I think what helps is to have something that you can always pull out of the pocket, you know, and not think about. Because I do like looking at new recipes and trying things, but, you know, you don't always want to spend the time doing that. So Jim makes breakfast and he likes getting up earlier than I do. And he has got a rotation of great breakfast. He makes wonderful oatmeal in the Instant Pot. That's one of our favorites. And we make our own yogurt out of soy milk that we make our own soy milk.
Wow.
So we put that on top of.
So you make your own soy milk and then you make your own yogurt out of the soy milk. How
Yeah.
much time does that take?
Not much for me because Jim does it.
Oh,
So
okay. You've got a good system.
yeah, it's not really that labor intensive. And you know, the soy milk that you buy in the store has got preservatives and stuff in it. And we don't usually drink a whole half gallon, you know, by the time it would go bad. So if we just make what we need, and it's great. Um, so but we're learning how to make the yogurt. We've had lots of failures, but now we've got a system that I think is going to work. And we're bringing vegan yogurt to church on Sunday for the yogurt bar that they're having in Sunday school. So that'll be fun. You know, and it'll be homemade. But so he makes oatmeal that's really good. We'll have that with fruit on it. He makes like a stir fry kind of thing with oven roasted potatoes and all kinds of vegetables. That's a great breakfast. We do stone ground grits with grilled tomatoes and collard greens. That's another great breakfast. So those are the three primary. On special days, he'll make pancakes, which are great, or waffle. Oh, he makes the best waffles. You know, we'll put the yogurt and the fruit on top of that with maple syrup. You know, that's for special days. And then, let's see, those are the standard ones that he'll do. And then if we're in a hurry, we'll have like peanut butter toast going out the door. But we hardly ever have bread, so depends on if we've got bread around. And lunch is usually a big giant salad or leftovers. And then dinner I cook, and it's usually like our staple things when I'm not doing a recipe is usually like a sweet potato or a baked potato with something on top. I like to make like a chickpea with lime and like a curry sort of sauce to put over a sweet potato. That's good. I garden, so we like last night we had green beans from the garden and fresh corn and tomatoes, and I do pasta a lot.
Fresh corn? You grow corn?
No, I don't grow the fresh corn, but we're in the Midwest and it's corn season. So
yes.
But yeah, so
are you able to find organic corn? I find that hard to find.
No, I haven't found that.
Yeah.
I get it at the farmer's market, when it looks like it's just been picked. So I doubt it's organic, but I do the organic things for just a few items.
Which ones?
Blueberries, peppers, and those are the two big, and spinach. Those are the three biggies that I try to get organic. And then other things, if the price is about the same, I'll get organic. But if the price is hugely different, I don't bother with it. So
Yeah.
do-
Berries and grapes are
yeah,
particularly good to get organic.
yeah, yeah. Raspberries, I'll get those organic. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and so do you find that you have more energy now than you used to have when
Oh,
you were
definitely.
75 pounds heavier?
Yep. Yep. Definitely more energy. And I'm 10 years older, but
Yeah.
yeah, the one thing I'm not as good at is getting myself out to exercise. We go walk and I try to swim and stuff like that. But I've had some injuries that I fell and broke my arm, and that kind of like got me out of my exercise habit. And so that's healed. I don't have that excuse anymore. So I've got an appointment with a personal trainer actually next week. So we'll get back into that.
Well,
But we do
walking is a perfectly good exercise.
we do
Walking
a
is
lot of walking
underrated.
and hiking and that kind of thing. So, and that keeps up and tons of gardening and run
Yeah.
around after grandkids and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Those are all good exercises.
Yep.
I mean, some people will say, "What do you do for exercise?" And if you say, "Well, I go for long walks," they kind of smirk a little. And then, what do you do? Oh, I go skiing. Well, then they break their leg and
Yeah.
then they're in bed for 3 months. So I'd rather go for walks.
Yeah. Walking's my main thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And are there certain people in the Whole Foods plant-based or vegan movement, Chef AJ or other people who you have come to follow and learn a lot from?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I should have written down my long list.
Huh.
Yeah, Chef AJ, I admire a lot, and she has so many interesting people. Then I'll go, chase down one of her people that she's been. And some of the, McDougall and I love Dr. Greger's site, the nutritionfacts.org. I'll go
Right.
there to check things out. And let's see who else. Kathy Fisher, I like her recipes an awful lot. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't write those all down. Oh, Dr. Lyle. I think he's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, I like him an awful lot. Um, oh, I can't remember him. I'm sorry, I didn't write them down.
I didn't ask you to. That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's all right.
Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer
Oh,
are
yeah, they're great.
and they're both kind of extraordinary. They're not um, you know, uh, cardiologists or anything like that. Dr. Goldhammer, I think, is a chiropractor,
Right.
and Dr. Lyle is a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm not sure which, but they're old friends.
Yeah, they're
And
dynamic duo.
yeah,
Yeah.
they grew up together.
Hmm.
And then they each went into their fields, and then they each became experts on nutrition, as far as I can tell, on their own. You
Yep,
know,
I think so. They just hit on something that worked and figured out
yeah,
how to get the message out. So
yeah.
it was amazing staying there at True North, seeing the transformation of people that came in and their stories. It was phenomenal. I mean, it was worth it just to go there to hear how these people were being helped in such a variety of ways. People were going there just like after cancer treatments to detox from, all the meds that they had. So, and it was really phenomenal.
I've never been to True North. How many patients were there at the time that you were there?
Probably maybe 50, 45 or 50.
50.
Yeah, maybe. Or
It's
maybe
that
not.
big an operation.
It's not huge.
Well,
No,
but 50 is a lot of people.
you think. Well, maybe not that many, maybe 35.
Okay. And would you all meet for dinner and all get to know
Um,
each other over
yeah,
meals?
yeah. There's like an open patio place where everybody, kind of congregates to eat. You have like a time where you go for your meals. A lot of people are water fasting, so they're not eating,
Mm.
but then, when you do eat, you go and, you have meals together with people and there's not really anything else to do other than doing, their program. So you're kind of all together. And when you're fasting, you're not to go off the premises. And especially during COVID, they didn't want people going out and about. So, but anyway, it was
Did you do a fast while you were there?
9 days.
9 days.
Yep. And
just water?
Yep. It was.
And was Jim with you, or were you alone?
He did too. And that's what got his blood pressure down, because even though he had lost 30 pounds, he had not dropped his blood pressure. And doing that fast is what got it down. So
really?
Yeah.
So he goes 9 days on a water fast, the blood pressure drops and it doesn't come back up.
Nope, it has stayed down. He's like, 110/70, rock solid. So
that's great.
Yeah, isn't that great? So
now, how difficult was it for both of you to water fast for 9 days?
It wasn't. It was
not at all.
No, it really wasn't. I mean, I thought it was going to be, because I'll get hungry and get kind of grumpy and angry now, right?
Right. Well, let me ask a question here. And, this is the kind of insightful question that has made me a podcast host. Didn't you get hungry?
I did not.
You didn't.
Like the first day or two, I'm kind of like thinking, oh, I could eat food, and you just drink water and you kind of get with it. Yeah. And after I think the first day, I was kind of hungry, and, you could see everybody else have a plate of food, but you think, well, no, this is what I'm doing. And then it was not a problem. It was amazing. They fast people for 40 days, up to 40 days.
That sounds biblical.
It does. It is. But, but, the results that they get, and it's all from inflammation stuff, and just being able to detox the body and let your body, the thing that I learned that I thought was what made sense to me is when you're fasting, your body's not using the energy it normally uses to digest food. And it has that energy available to fix itself.
Right.
And so your body goes about fixing itself. And so where there's stuff in your system that needs to be pushed out, it pushes it out. And so, I told you I had broken my arm, and I had been on a lot of painkillers because I had surgery. It was awful. And I think I still had the anesthesia and the painkiller stuff in my system. And when I went through those 9 days afterwards, my brain was clear. I felt like I could do a whole sentence without pausing. I mean, it was just phenomenal, the difference. I just felt clean and healthy. And, as I was detoxing, I'd get rashes and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, what is this stuff? It's your body clearing out junk.
Wow.
And so it makes sense. So your body is not using that energy to digest food. So your body's still at work. And so it, works on clearing out all the crap.
Is this something you plan to do periodically?
I think so. But see, here's what I have to do. I have to weigh, do I want to spend those couple of $1,000s doing that? Or do I want to go to Italy? And so,
Yeah.
I think I would like to go back and do it another time, if I get stuck again, kind of thing. And there are people that go annually, that do it routinely. But I have to weigh it against the other fun things I want to go do.
Italy is not where you want to go to fast, I think.
No. So maybe after I go to Italy, I might need that.
It's a more expensive plan, but that could work.
Yeah.
Well, Allison, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and I hope to see you around town. And thank you for sharing your story with our listeners.
Well, thank you for giving me a grace-filled platform to do it. And, hopefully it'll help somebody else. Well, that's
I'm sure it will.
I could do it. But, and I look forward to seeing you again too. And good luck with your book.
Thank you. And everybody, please remember to subscribe. Thank you again. Bye-bye. This has been the Glen Mercer Show, where everyone listening turns vegan, regains their health, and annoys their friends and relatives. Find us on YouTube at The Glen Mercer Show and across all your major podcast platforms. Don't forget to subscribe.